The issue of state police is what we are bringing to the front burner on this first segment of our discussion on this Wednesday edition of New Dawn. And of course, we have two gentlemen joining us to take a critical look at the issue. You recall that at the last presidential interview by President Muhammadu Buhari, the president vehemently opposed the idea of state police. But a lot of Nigerians continue to clamor for the creation of state police to stem the tide of insecurity that is really ravaging, cutting across all the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. To my immediate left is a well-known face, somebody who also thinks security almost every time when it comes to the issue of security in Nigeria. He is Venerable Dr. Samson Bokwola, Chairman, PCRC, Ogun State. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning.
And of course, to complete the team is Elder Shokeye. Elder Shokeye is the Vice Chairman at Jeja Community Development Association here in Abeokuta. Also welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
And to my co-presenter.
All right. I'd like to welcome you gentlemen to the program. And maybe we begin from here. Why are we clamoring for state police? Why do you think, and I want to begin with the elder, with the chairman of the PCRC in Ogun State. Why do you think that the noise for a state police is rife now? Because we've all along, we've always had this centralized, police force where it's controlled from the federal. Why do you think this noise is so loud now?
Oh, thank you very much. I think the noise is getting louder by the day, because of the fact that people are feeling insecure. And no matter what nomenclature you give to it, whether community policing or state policing or even rural policing, what people are actually clamoring for is for the safety and security of their lives and property. And because they have seen that maybe the present system that we are running have not been able to guarantee that level of security that they desire, and of course you know that they would naturally want to find another way out, and that is why the clamor for state policing is getting louder by the day.
Okay, now I'll stay with you, Venerable Bokwola. If the clamor is getting so high and people are really looking for something to be done in that direction, but we have seen about 2 or 3 zones, geopolitical zones in this country, set up and a regional outfit. In Southwest we have Amotekun, in the Southeast we have ESN, and of course somewhere around North Central, Kano has also started something. But if that has been on the table, then why is it difficult to have state police also be on the table? Because when you take a look, we always pride ourselves that Nigeria's democracy is fashioned after that of America. America has state police. New York State Police Department is different from Cincinnati, is different from other states as well in the United States. So why is it that difficult for us? And as this regional outfits, security outfit, made any impact so far?
Let me start by saying that, there are so many things that's involved when we come to the issue of state police. It's not enough to just clamor for it. It's not enough to just create it. The most important thing, how do you sustain it? And that is where the question mark lies. That it's better not to even start it at all than to have recruited people, give them arms and ammunition, and you start owing them salaries for 6 months, for 7 months. That is where the problem lies. So the problem it has to do with the economic viability when it comes to creating the state and the ability of the state to sustain it. Because it's not a short-term thing. It's a long-term, it's a continuum. So you have to look at that. And of course, you have to also look at the constitutional provision as it is today. So if you want to have to do anything about state police, the first aspect is to get the constitution reviewed to be able to accommodate that. Because as at now, the only agency that is given the power, the NSA, the National Security Advisor, is about the only office that you can get permission to either import arms or distribute them or get something like that. And so the thing is that even when we look at the other ones that have been created now, like the Amotekun and the other regional police, there's limitation to the sort of arms they could carry. And when you look at the insecurity we are facing today and the sophistication of these people involved in this criminal activity, you will now see that at par, when we put them side by side, what we have from the from the government side to fight this bandit, it's not there. And the limitation is created first by the Constitution.
Okay, now let me come to Elder Olukunle Shukeye. Some people have said that even when you give the state the powers to own their police, that there is always a tendency for it to be misused. And I think that was one of the things the president was talking about, that okay, what has even, look at the various state governments, have they not sidelined the local government? You know, is it not going to be an exclusive ability, an exclusive power for the states when the state now eventually has its own police?
Well, I want to believe that security is key in the development of any nation. And where the lives and the properties of the people and the citizens of the country have not been guaranteed, then it becomes a problem. I want to align with my brother here that the fear of the unknown, the possibility that when this state police is created, they will not be able to function properly, has always given people the kind of reservation. When the president talked about the fear that they might misuse the opportunity, as a person, I really don't believe that they can misuse the opportunity, because there will be some kind of guidelines. There will be some kind of structures and principles that will be put in place to make sure that nobody takes advantage of the creation of the policemen in the states. But you see, in a situation where you cannot really guarantee your safety, even within the community, then it becomes a problem. We have had situations before in this country where we have local vigilantes, where we have some people, OPC, and in those times when they were being, when they were in operation, they were making sure that they secure the lives of the people within that community, and they identify the criminals within the community. So if that is the case, why can't we just have something like that and then have people to monitor them and checkmate their excesses? To me, it's not possible for the state police, like the kind of fear that the president is having. What kind of capacity will any state police have to be able to overrun the federal government? It's not possible. So I want us to look at it from the other angle too.
I think, Shukeye, I think the Constitution needs to be looked into first.
Yes.
Because if the Constitution is not amended to favor state police, then the insecurity in Nigeria will remain unabated. Yes. We may not have solutions to it. But if that has been done, state police, like also not that fair, some governors might misuse it. But let's reference the issue that occurred in Lagos recently, Magodo Estate, where the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, approached the area to seek for peace, to calm down the policemen that were posted there. But the resistance from these police officers showed that the police in Nigeria is being controlled by the federal government, but they are in the Lagos State jurisdiction, which empowers the federal government, of course, to come in and settle whatever rift that is ongoing or that has occurred there. So I think the Constitution should also be addressed.
Now, as a rider to that, the fact that, you know, you call the state governor the chief executive, the chief security officer of the state, and what CSP is standing, face to face with the chief security. It doesn't not look like, from what we even have in the constitution, it's just a paper. The CSO stuff that you call the governor or the whatever, is it not just a paper,
Well, from that scenario that we saw, what you have just brought forward can be taken as it is. Because if the CSO, who happens to be the governor, who happens to be the chief security officer of a particular state, cannot give order, cannot ask the ASP to give room for peace to reign, it borders on what we call double standard. If the president or the AIG can give order that they should move to a particular spot, and then the governor of the state cannot tell them that for now, in order to have peace in this state, please, can you please move out and let us have a kind of jaw and talk this issue? And he will confront the governor and say, no, I will not allow that. I am taking my orders from above.
And he was so blatant about
it. It shows.
No. I think I want to come into this. We don't take issues, from the top. We look at the root cause of that. Normally, that order coming from the governor to the CSP has not followed due process. Let us be very frank to ourselves. The governor have access, direct access to the president, direct access to the Inspector General of Police, and direct access to the Minister for...
How direct is that? How direct is that?
That is left to the system.
Because when we say
that is left to the system. If a governor does not have his direct access to his president, that cannot be the fault of Nigerians. Okay. That cannot be the fault of Nigeria. So, and I think when you look at the reply that the CSP gave, is the fact that that order for me to move out of here should follow a number. But it's like asking a director, for example, going to a minister and asking a director, please call your governor, I want to talk to him. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. The protocol will not allow it. So what the man has done at that particular time is not as if he's disrespecting the governor. No.
Okay,
but when you look at the case, when you look at the fact of the case, is the fact that a Supreme Court has given a judgment almost 10 years ago, and this judgment has not been executed. But if you are running democracy and you have a judiciary, the highest court in the land has given an order, a very affirmative order that this should be done, and that thing is not being done, and a party to that particular execution of the order is that there are so many things.
The governor there was trying. Well, I'm not making any defenses for anybody, but the governor was trying to say, okay, let's have out of court settlement, let's have a formal discussion. This is not the way you should go about it, and stop. But you discover that in some people's view, the governor made a mess of himself. Now, that is not even what we are even trying to look at. Maybe that was not the scenario. But even in actual scenarios, can you really say that the governor or when the IG gives a directive, which the governor here feels it's not it's not in tandem with the security environment or security architecture of his own state, he cannot override it.
Let me come in here. The issue of security, even in America, like we have the decentralized police system, the metropolitan police, you have the state, you have the federal police, you have the state police, you even have the counties and all that. There is still a coordination. And this coordination is directly under the presidency. It's still there. But I think the issue we need to the problem with Nigeria is that you don't start a building by buying doors, buying glass, buying furniture. That is not the way to start a building.
How do you start
a building from the foundation?
Okay.
And the foundation, let's look at the judicial system, for example.
Okay.
In Ogun State today, we have a federal high court, we have a state high court, and they are cohabiting without any problem, because we have a national judicial council that takes care. Despite the fact that we have the Ogun State judiciary, it's still under the national judicial council. The appointment, payment, emolument, and all that still comes from that. So I think what we need to look at, if we're looking at state policing, is to have a scenario like that. We have a council at the top that coordinates, regulates what happens at the state level. You sit down and you can agree, okay, Ogun State, you want police. We can only, you could go for 10,000 men or 5,000 men. That is your, so you get that whole gamut of, personnel coordinated. And then how do we pay them? What is the salary of all these people? Maybe at the point of releasing money from Abuja, for example, the salary for this police have already been deducted from Ogun State. So you have a seamless thing, because even as of today, Ogun State is not paying the judiciary. The judiciary is being paid by the National Judicial Council. And so the same thing could be done for the police. But we cannot start it first, recruit first, engage them first, ask them to start working before we now go back to say how we
but a lot of Nigerians want to a bit not align with you that the economic viability of starting a state police is cause it can be called to question. But the issue here is that the federal police that we are talking about, we have seen this number being depleted on a daily basis, one. Then secondly, they are not well equipped. They are not also, we don't have the required number that could be spread around the 36 states and the federal capital territory. And if we have a police that is not well equipped, that is not well high in terms of numerical strength, then insecurity will continue to stare us in our faces. So state police can be a subtle solution to it.
And that's why we have to make a distinction between state policing and community policing. Okay. When we're talking about the OPC in that time, that is not a state police. Yeah. It's more or less like a community police. A lot of them are working voluntarily for their community. Okay. They are engaged by their community and they believe this is a service they could render to their own community. And they are localized. Ijeja CTA, for example, could have about 10 vigilante on their own. Maybe they are not paying them salary, they are just giving them something. And they believe that if the chairman can leave his time and then do the administrative work, we could also be of assistance in terms of security of our community. And I think that is the focus. The focus, you see, community, a state police is an organization, but community policing is a system. It's something that is imbibed in everybody. In America today, they don't have enough police. There is no country in the world that has enough police. Okay. They are able to, make headway because of the consciousness of their citizens about their own security. Because the citizen will have taken care of those, For example, if I leave my door open, if I don't have security in my house, the door are open, there's no burglar, and I say, okay, the police should be able to take care of that. But if I'm taking care of my own security, if I'll be able to do my own bit, then it will be easier. It will be a lot more easier for police to be able to do their work. I agree with you in total. I've always been saying it on everything that we are grossly under police. We are grossly under police. And our deficit in policing has to do with available resources. And these available resources is still the same thing that is going to be shared by the federal and so there is no magic that will say that once you have a state police, the economy of the state will automatically improve.
Maybe if federal government or if the constitution will allow states to control resources deposited in their jurisdiction, in their domain, perhaps state police will be more economically viable.
Well, I believe that if there is going to be anything at all, you just have to start it. Okay. You cannot say until you have so much money in your kitty before you secure your people. You must be ready. Where there is a will, there will be a way. they will try as much as possible as soon as they decide that, okay, state police is very necessary.
Okay.
They will definitely look into their purse and see where they can tap from.
After all, there is security
Yes,
breach every month.
and they will create the kind of vote. You see, we do budget every year. And at each time where there is a project to be done, budgetary allocation is given to that project. So the same thing will happen if we have a state police. They will allocate certain amount of money to them. And through the process, they will look for where to get the money. You see, for instance, neighborhood watch is very key, it's very important. If I will share my experience, if you allow me to share my own experience when I was in US as a student. We were outside one evening like that. We were playing outside. My house is not far from the university where I was. Across the road, and then we gathered ourselves, enjoyed ourselves in the evening. And I stood there, and I noticed there was somebody, a creature coming from the brook, and it was walking in. And I took some notice. I said, what is this? It turned out to be a tortoise. And I was so fascinated because that tortoise looks so beautiful. The shell was so transparent. The structure inside it was so... then I took an interest, and I was trying to invite yes,
Closer monitoring.
so I started looking at the tortoise, and at the time I dropped something for it, and it came to our side. I said, oh, this is beautiful. In my mind, I said, I can keep this tortoise, okay, and kind of bring it up. But to my surprise, the third day, I kept the tortoise at the backyard. I went to the store. On the shelf, I got tortoise food. And I was feeding this tortoise. The second day, the third day. By the third day, when I came back from school, I parked my car and I was running upstairs. I noticed policemen on the street.
Okay.
And I was wondering, what could have happened? What are they doing here? I went upstairs, I opened my curtain, and I saw them looking direct to my house. And I became kind of frightened. But what could be the problem? I never knew there was a kind of
Device already
that I should not keep any animal in my care unless I have taken permission from the... Well, how did they get to know? There was a woman on the opposite side of the house. A young woman who must have seen me when I was trying to invite the tortoise to my side.
Okay.
You surprised? You surprised?
Community policing.
By the time I called my neighbor downstairs, he said, what about that tortoise you kept the other day? I said, it's still there. He said, you better go and release it. I said, tortoise, what could that be? What's the problem with that? Okay, so I released the tortoise. To my surprise, the policemen, the one on the right, the one on the left, they met, they clapped, and then they took off.
Okay, and actually, now we have seen state governors. It is not just happening now.
Yes.
I would say, see the advent of this democratic process.
Yes.
Once they get to office, they will gather resources together, buy operational vehicles, communication gadgets for federal police. So if they can do that across the 36 states, then that means state police is possible. And there is always security vote to every governor every month. So what is that money meant for? Is it not for the state governors to have peace in their domain, to have good policing in their domain? So that means all these parameters can be used to argue the fact that state police is inevitable.
Well, I want to believe that we are politicizing everything in this country. And the moment we continue to politicize things in this country, we will not get there. For fear of the unknown, I don't know why our leaders cannot be sincere and honest enough, bold enough to take up a challenge, to do things right. We are talking of lives and properties of your citizenry. Where a government cannot guarantee that, then what is the government doing? I want to believe that if the constitution is reviewed and they are able to create that clause that state police should be, I will tell you that all the governors that might come up later or presently will try and source for funds. They will even ask private people to join them.
That is on the table. That's on the table already. There is always a police trust fund across most states.
Exactly.
Now let me just stop you say that. Let me just make it your question. What you want to say. No problem. Now the question I always ask is this: is it really difficult? Because when you look at even the current police, the police force, I'm sorry, I have to say this. I was in the barracks, you know. And there was even when I went to a DPO's office. It's not in Ogun State. It's in the other side, in the southwest. And I was looking at the roof, and I was asking myself, you know, is this really a police station? You know, so even at the national level, you know, can we, if we can't sustain the police, can the states? And then you also talked about community policing and all that. I know that we've always been doing community policing anyway, because I remember during the NSAS crisis, when we had this lockdown, everybody, and then suddenly there was noise that everybody became, people began to, no, everybody even on the road in the night when things became, rampant, every community came out, and so we've always been doing that. But the bottom line is, can we sustain? Why is it so difficult? Is it that we don't place value on security? Or is it that we just want to pretend that these things don't exist?
We don't place enough value on security. Thank God my brother here spoke about the issue of budgeting. I think we need to educate Nigerians about budgeting and budget performance.
Okay.
Because the only thing Nigerians will hear is that 100 billion has been budgeted for the police. At the end of the year, nobody asks how much of those 100 billion actually got to be released.
Do people really need to ask, or the government should come out and tell us?
We need to ask questions. If they've not been responding to us, then we need to ask questions. The press also had to assist us that in that last year, the budget for Ogun State is so much. At the end of December of that same year, what has been the budget performance? Okay. Because people will still continue to say, last year the governor said he's going to put 100 billion on that road. Let us now come back and say how much was actually available for that same road to be done. There was a time that the PCRC, has to follow the police management to the Senate to find out. We now find out that out of all the security agencies, the army, the navy, the police, and everything, the police got less than 20% of their budgetary allocation for that particular.
And has that narrative changed?
It has not changed. And that's why I said that even if we want to, if we need to do this constitutional amendment, who will do it, for example? It is the Senate. Where are the senators from? Are they not from the states? Okay. The House of Representatives? Are they not from our state? How much of influence has our governor been able to have on their senators and their House of Representatives to be able to make the necessary change at the federal level to be able to benefit their state?
Are they willing
to make the change? Look at the issue of this direct and indirect primary. It's a direct fight between the governors and the people at the National Assembly. So you look at everything that they're looking at, everything that from the political side of it, they're not even interested even in the like we say, if we want to go for state policing, yes, state policing is viable. It's viable. But we need to come to a reality. Okay, let us come to the round table. If we want to state police, the issue of fuel subsidy has to be removed. We need to negotiate. If we have to go for state police, all our federal legislators will be able to forgo 20% of their allowances and salary to be able to fund it. These are the fundamentals. Are they ready to make that sacrifice for the safety of their people.
Perhaps Venerable Bukola, as a case study, maybe I'm just assuming that is 36 state governors should just for about 6 months, half a year, cease to support police in their respective states and see what will be the outcome.
There's going to be chaos.
So that means federal government would need to step up and do more.
That's exactly what I'm saying. For one,
so if there's going to be chaos, then that means state police should come to be.
Let me ask you a question. Go to a DPO's office. A DPO's office in any part of this Ogun state. And then now compare that DPO's office to an assistant director's office in the civil service or in the federal civil service. Look at the structure. You go to Elewe, or even our own Elewe here, go there. And you now compare what is happening there with what is happening at the federal secretariat or even at the state secretariat. So these are the things that even if the federal that has all the allocation, because when you say you are going to devolve, it is still this federal allocation for the police that is now going to be devolved to the state.
I will take you up on this one. You know, and I'm not going to mention it. There was a time, you know, there was a strike action by the police. There was one time, I think it was, no, it wasn't proposed. It was, I think it was Muslim Smith or something. A day or two. Yeah. You know that their money came out, I think they were fighting for money or something. Their money came out almost immediately after that strike action.
That is what we are saying. The fire brigade approach of our
it's not the fire brigade approach now I want to look at. I want to look at the fact that, okay, when you're talking about the fact that 20% allocation went to a released, are you sure that money has not been released and money has not been diverted?
No, when we come to release of money and diversion of money, it's a national problem. No, it's a national problem. It cuts across all the strata of the community. And that's why I said where some things should be asked.
I think is the insincerity of purpose is the problem we are having here. Is where somebody is interested in something, he will make it work, of course. But where somebody is not interested, he can kill that idea even before it is executed. I want to believe if it is possible for us to take a kind of random sampling of opinions, our governors, the Senate, you will discover that most of these governors, particularly in Zamfara, in the northwest, they are beginning to cry out seriously now that their lives are in danger, and the federal government should do something more positive about it. If these people are given the opportunity to take a decision, they will go for it. They will go for it. They will want to have it. And what they need is that the federal government will give them the backing. Okay? That, okay, we will give your state police enough ammunition, enough firearms to work. If they are going to buy it, they will know how to do it. But where we are saying, no, we don't want it, then it means we are still...
And Ashoka, since I became an adult, I can't remember the last time I saw a police station or a police headquarters office built by the federal government that's been inaugurated for use. It has always been either through what we call corporate social responsibility or partnership with communities. Communities will come up, get a land somewhere, build to their own taste as to what is obtainable in their area. So if all these have been on the table over the years, then why are we still saying federal police is the only way that we can go?
I think we are still going to get there. We have mentioned here that Constitution has to be amended. Where there is a will, there is a way. The National Assembly needs to look at that and see how they can amend the Constitution in order to accommodate state police.
A National Assembly that since 1999 has made fruitless efforts to amend the Constitution up to today, because whatever clause will not favor A, they want to jettison that.
That is exactly what I said, that once we are too political in our mind, we will not do things right. Everybody wants something, wants to protect his interest first. before doing anything. Whereas the nation's interest must come first before our personal interest. And that's where we have problem.
Okay.
Let me say this, sir. You mentioned about the constitutional amendment and the federal legislature. But you know how many of these clauses was passed by the National Assembly and jettisoned at the states, including autonomy for the local governments. As that particular time. So you begin to see that we seem to be the problem or the enemy of ourselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? We seem to be there. Nobody, as we're sitting down, we all agree that the final way to solution of this insecurity is the state policing for this federal system of government to actually work. But the fear that I am expressing here is the fact that it will be more dangerous starting it and not being able to sustain it than not starting it.
No, your own fear is more of funding.
Yes. No, not only funding. It is structure. Structure has to be in place. Part of the structure is the issue of the funding.
Maybe you take this along with that. Can Amotekun metamorphose into a state police? We have seen Amotekun over the months now. The 6 states in the southwest agreed that they should go and set up Amotekun. Amotekun has been in place now. There is a structure. They even made Professor Wole Soyinka in Ogun State the Commander General for Amotekun in Ogun State. And we have seen their exploits in Ondo State, in Osho, in Oyo, in Ogun. How they've been able to nip some security challenges in the board. So that can metamorphose into a state police. And it's been funded by state government as of now.
Even before Amotekun, we have the So Safe Corps that has also been working.
We're even looking at the political.
But let me ask you, in the So Safe Corps today, how many of those personnel in the So Safe Corps are being paid by the state government? A lot of them are working voluntarily.
Seriously?
Seriously. A lot of them are working. Now, we have So Safe Corps. Part of it is being funded by the state government, maybe at the top echelon, but at the community level and all those levels, they are working, pro bono. Now, we have that, we have Amotekun, we have state police, we have police, we have NSCDC, we have vigilante service, we have vigilante group, we have this, NRUTW, and all this. All these things they are not coordinated. They are not. We need that level of coordination that will make every one of them, they work differently, but there will be a coordination at a point. Because most of these exploits that we are talking about is actually a result of coordinated effort. In Ogun State, I want to give it to the security agencies in Ogun State that we have that level of cooperation. You will never see any interagency rivalry when it comes to.
Are you not speaking as PCR?
No. When I talk about security agencies, I'm talking about even the army, the navy, so they are all working. The synergy is there. Thanks to our governor. Our governor is actually coordinating that, and they are doing that. So we need that to be replicated, federally. When we talk about Samfara, all these people talking about that, when you look at their budget, now you will find out that close to 50% of their annual budget is going to security, because that's the only thing they have to face now. But let that insecurity in the Northeast go down, and the hospitals need money, education needs money, teachers needs to be paid, and all these things to be paid. You will find out that the same level of support that is being given to security now will dwindle.
Now, Elder, you wanted to say something while he was speaking.
Well, you see, I'm happy that my brother agrees that we need state security. And if we all believe in it, we should be able to
sit down and work it out.
We should be able to work it out.
That's the starting point.
You see, our politicians, our leaders, need to be more positive in their
way of governance.
Yes, governance. They should see the lives and properties of their people as paramount. The security of the lives and properties of their people, very key. And once they can secure that, there will be peace in the land. there won't be any problem at all. It's just like a father in the house who will not take care of his kids. You see, if the father does not provide for his kids and he doesn't educate the children, they will turn around to ask him questions one day.
But in this case,
And
in this case, the father, in respective states, are providing for the kids.
Yes.
It's just that the kids, in a way, were not born by them. They were born by the federal government.
Yes.
Because every governor is making frantic effort to make sure that there is peace in his domain.
Exactly.
So that will attract investment.
Exactly.
And by way of attracting investment, you are reducing unemployment rate in your state. That's why a lot of money is going into that area. If that has been working so far, because when he talked about coordination, the cooperation of security agencies in Ogun State, it's because the governor here wants peace in his domain, and he wants to attract investment.
doing his best
So what
to
would
do
be your
that.
thought? If all these have been on the table and we have seen the practicability of it, then that state police should just come into force.
Well, I want to agree totally that state police is needed. If we are able to have Amotekun, we have been able to have vigilantes, we have been able to have OPC, and they are still operating. It might not be adequate, but at the same time, they are effective in those areas where they are operating. And the moment people know, criminals know, that these people are there, they will check themselves. They won't do anything that will be criminal. They know they can fish them out. You see, the inadequacy of policemen, the federal policemen, is making nonsense of our security. In many communities, there will be problem and you raise alarm, but before the police will come, it will take time. But where we have policemen who are stationed within the community, who are patrolling the streets here and there, definitely within a twinkle of an eye, they will get to the scene of crime and they will dismantle it.
Now, Venerable, the question you want to ask is, okay, the state set up Amotekun. Can't Amotekun metamorphose? It went through the state houses of assembly.
Yes.
They had to pass it, formally. Can they not build on that to transform Amotekun or any of those local antecedents in those places? Can they not use it, build it into their own local police force, even if they don't call it state police?
That is what we are talking about, the issue of community policing. Amotekun is more or less like a community policing. The Southwest people came together and they decided on it. We still have the problem with the recognition and the level of ammunition, the operation, the level of ammunition. Even, at the beginning, it was supposed to be a Western, Southwest regional outfit with, but they had to come back to different states, and because just to be able to, walk around the Constitution and the law. But as of today, what is the numerical strength of Amotekun in Ogun State?
Okay, maybe once we'll have expected that they should collapse the social corps, the vigilante, all of them into Amotekun, so that you have numerical strength, you have a structure that you can follow.
That's if you look at so say for example, go to any nook and cranny of Ogun State.
They are doing well.
They are there.
They are doing well.
They are there. So why can't we now collapse this both Amotekun and if we say Western States, Western Southwest, we should have. I will tell them that we already have one that we can now upgrade and then rather than starting something afresh and they are two different things. And when you talk about, you keep repeating that the governors have been doing this, have been buying vehicles, have been doing this. It's intervention. You see, there's a difference between intervention. Intervention will even be for political gain.
Okay.
You just come once in a while and say, okay, yes, I want to do this, and everybody will clap. But when it becomes a duty,
But intervention
when it becomes to the fact that you have to find 5 billion or 4 billion every month.
Yeah.
Every month.
To pay salaries of
And that is why we need, it is It is the way to go. There's no doubt about it. If we are running a federal system, then we must have state police.
Now,
we must. But what I'm talking about is that the necessary foundation has to be laid, and that is where we should focus on. The National Assembly should do their own bit of it, do their constitutional amendment. It's going on now. Incorporate, let us, all of us now, call on our representatives and everybody that this is what is needed. This is what they want. Do the constitutional amendment, go beyond that, and then look at the salary structure, the revenue mobilization and allocation. How do we now readjust? Do we have to bring down what we spend on our National Assembly? Do we have to come and say we don't have a bicameral, we need to have a unicameral? No, these are the things. We need to look at where the loopholes are, where the fund could be gotten, so that once we start it, it will not be a flop.
Now, when you get the funds, there was this problem during the previous administration when they had security fund, and then we found out that it was diverted. So when you get the funds, you're talking about funding now. How about diversion of funds? How do you handle that?
At what level, sir?
Okay.
Is it at the federal level?
I think once we get to that level, there will be a team possibly that will be
constituted like the
monitor because it's about state now. Because if you don't monitor the release of funds and how it's being expended, then that means your area, your community will be at risk. There won't be enough security under a state police when you have it in place. Well, that is how we are going to round off the first segment of our discussion on the program, New Dawn, this Wednesday morning. But before we allow our two guests to leave, we must thank them most sincerely because they've been able to provide more insights into the topic very well. State police, its desirability, its viability, and the likes of that. So I must thank Venerable Samson Popola, Chairman PCRC in Ogun State. Thanks for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you very much.
And of course, not forgetting Elder Olukunle Shokeye, Vice Chairman Ijeja Community Development Association here in Abeokuta. We also thank you. I hope when the tortoise was released, will you find thereafter? Did they find you?
I did even ask you, where did you take the tortoise?
Immediately the tortoise left
and
they went away, and I was free.
Had it been you were not under that surveillance to release the tortoise, would you have taken it back to Nigeria?
Exactly.
Would you have taken it back to Nigeria?
To Nigeria? No, I wouldn't.
Well, thank you very much. That's how we round off this first segment. Stay tuned. It all continues after this break. Join us again.